Hi, this is Aaron, and today I'm going to teach you to play Troggu, which is a really fun tarot game from Switzerland. And actually, I think I would rate this as probably the most beginner-friendly one. So if you've been curious about learning tarot games, but they look way too complicated, this is a really good place to start. Now, before I get to talking about the actual game, if you want to join us on the Traditional Card Games Discord and maybe play some games online, do some practice, or just hang out with other card nerds, send me an email at learntarotcardgames@gmail.com and I'll hook you up. Now let's talk about the game. Now the name Troggu is just basically from tarocco in Italian, which means tarot. The same origin as Central European games, which are all called tarocchi, or things like that. They're all from tarocco. So this is a map of Switzerland, and in red you have the canton of Valais, or at least that's what's called in French and English. In German it's called Wallis. The western part of Valais speaks French, the eastern part of Valais speaks German, or more specifically they speak the local dialect Walliser Deutsch, which is understood by no one outside of the canton, and this game is mostly played around the village of Visp. Until recently, most people would have said this game was on the verge of extinction. It was only played in a couple of little villages around Visp, but it's been part of the local culture for a long time. As you can see in this painting here, done in the nearby town of Münster in Goms, just up the valley. One really great thing about Troggu is that there's a variable player count. Anywhere from 3 to 8 players can take part, as opposed to only 3 or 4 in a lot of other games. So this game is played with a Swiss tarot deck, often called 1JJ, and the suits are clubs, or wands, batons, whatever you want to call them, and then coins, which are often locally called roses because of the influence of the Swiss-German Jas deck, and then swords, which look kind of like the clubs but are curved, and then cups. These are the standard Latin suits you'll probably know from Italian card decks or other divination tarot decks. Now you've also got a set of trump cards as kind of a fifth suit, and in Walliser Deutsch they call them the Troggu. Traditionally people played Troggu with a French labelled 1JJ deck. There are also German versions. The Trump series includes 2 of them who are Juno and Jupiter, or Juno in French with an N on it, but it's actually Juno in English without. They replace the Pope and the Papess of a deck like the Tarot de Marseille, and they give the deck the name 1JJ. A full tarot deck has 78 cards. We're going to use 62 of them for Troggu. In each suit you have a king, a queen, a knight, I like to say C for cavalier, and a jack. In the long suits, you take out the ace, 2, 3, 4, and then in the round suits, cups and coins, you take out the 7, 8, 9, 10. In traditional tarot games, the suits of cups and coins, the ace was high and the 10 was low, so the 4 lowest are 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you have the 21 numbered trumps and an unnumbered full, which usually acts as trump 22, the highest trump. Usually. I'll say more about that later. So at a basic level, this is a pretty normal trick-taking game. Someone leads a card, and then everyone has to follow suit. If they can't follow suit, they have to play a trump. The 21 trumps, or the 22 trumps, basically act as their own suit. So Nestorius over there on the right, he led a trump. That means we all had to play another trump card. Whoever plays the highest trump to the trick will win that trick. If there's no trump cards in the trick, whoever played the highest card of whatever the suit led was will win the trick. You'll also notice there, Nestorius has a little finger icon next to his name. He's actually playing on his own against the other 4 of us. I'm down the bottom, I'm chicken duck. So there, he led a trump, everyone else has to play a trump. Unless they didn't have one, then they just have to play whatever they want. And then, so Dr. Blues won that one. He led clubs, and then Nestorius won that trick by playing the highest club in the trick, which was the queen. There he's led the King of Swords, everyone else has to follow suit with swords. He collects those cards, puts them into his pile. He leads swords again. Dr. Blues did not have any swords, so he has played a trump, and so all those cards go up to Dr. Blues. He's played clubs. Everyone else has to play clubs if they can. If they can't, they have to follow suit with a trump. I followed suit there with trump 20, but Nestorius had trump 21, so he won that one. Now this trick's interesting. For the moment, I'm just going to play the fool as the highest trump and win that trick. Now, I'm going to come back to that and explain later on because there was something I could have done there but I didn't. Anyway, we'll leave that. I lead cups, and the highest, Nestorius and Dr. Blues, neither of them had cups, so they both chucked trumps on it. Dr. Blues was high. He played, I think the 15, it was the devil. I should have checked that before. Nestorius just won that trick then with the 1 of trumps, and he will win the last trick because he's the only one having a trick left. So once you've finished playing all of the cards, no one has any cards left in their hand, the person who is playing on their own, so Nesterius in this case, he would count up all of the points in the cards in his tricks, and then the other four of us throw all of our cards together and we count ours and see which side's got more. Counting up your card points is really easy. Trumps 1, 21 and the full are all worth 5 points each. The kings are also worth 5 points each. The queens are worth 4 points each. The knights are worth 3 points each. And the jacks are worth 2 points each. All the other cards in the deck are worth 1 point each. Add all that up and your whole deck contains 114 card points in total. So to win, you need 58, which is, a majority, just over. If you have 57-57, that's a tie. There is no scores exchanged. In the hand you watched just before, Nesterius finished up with 73 card points. The other four of us only had 41, so we would all push some money across the table to him. Okay, so the objective is to win tricks that have high point cards in them. The trumps 1, 21 and the full, the kings, the queens, the knights and the jacks. All good, we've understood. But how did Nesterius end up playing on his own against the other four of us in the first place, and how is 4 versus 1 a fair fight at all? Well, this game is one of a lot of games where you deal out a certain number of cards into the middle of the table before you deal out to everyone else. And when you bid to be the person who's going to play on their own against everyone else, one of the things you're bidding on is being able to pick up that pile of cards and use it to improve your hand so that it is actually strong enough to beat the rest of the players. This little pile of extra cards is called the tap. Also, if you're playing with 7 or 8 players, whoever ends up being the person playing on their own, the declarer, they'll actually call one of the other players to be their partner. So in an 8-player game, it'll be 2 versus 6, which is not, as bad. If you look at this table, this shows you with all the different numbers of players who can play the game. This shows you exactly how many cards you'll deal. So you deal the tup first, and then in an anti-clockwise direction, you'll deal packets of a certain number to each player. So the tap is almost an extra hand's worth of cards, almost. After you've dealt the cards, the player to the dealer's right opens the bidding. If they want to play as declarer, they can bid tup, which is kind of the default bid. It means that you want to add the tup to your hand, then discard the same number of cards. The cards that you discard will go into your trick pile, so those points will count towards your tricks. You can be strategic with that. Or you can bid solo, which means you're going to take the tup and put it in your trick pile, but you won't look at them. You're just going to play with the cards you were dealt. And then if everyone passes, you play misère, which means everyone's for themselves. You take as few points as possible. In misère, whoever takes the most points will have to pay a penalty to the other players. So looking at this hand, I don't have a whole lot of trumps, but I've got 5 of them. And maybe, the other 2 have already passed, so they probably don't have much. I'll bid tup, and so pick up the tap hopefully and see what I can do with it. Now you add in all those extra cards, and lo and behold, that gives me the fool, which is pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get rid of as many of the court cards, the knights and the queens and whatnot, put them into my discards, which will save those points already so that they can't get trumped away if I play them to a trick during the game. The only rule is you can't discard any 5-point cards, so you can't discard the 1 or the 21 or the full, and you can't discard any of the kings. There's a slight exception to that. If you hold all 4 kings in your hand, you are allowed to discard the 4 kings together, because otherwise that is a very, very dangerous hand for you to hold. But anyway, I've shortened all my suits. The only suit I've got left beside trumps is wands. I'm not sure why I kept the queen there. I'm sure I had a plan at the time when I did it. Anyway, I just let a low trump to extract, see if I can pull out a whole bunch of 1-point trumps out of all the others. So that's 5 trumps down. If I count up to 21, keep count, I'll know how many are left. Now, Mark led wands or clubs up there, and 2 of the players there don't have any clubs. I better bear that in mind because that's the only suit I do have. Now, Dr. Blues has led cups. I don't have any cups, so I'm going to have to put a trump on this one. And I just noticed there that Mark has put in a bit of a promo for his YouTube channel, Riffle, Shuffle and Roll, into the chat there. You can see as an Easter egg. So anyway, I couldn't follow suit on the cup, so I had to play a trump. My trump was higher than Mark's trump, so I win that trick. I lead clubs, I lead the 10 of clubs. Nesterius has followed suit. Oh, and Dr. Blues has beaten it with the queen there. And then Albrecht didn't have any, so he played a trump and won that one. He throws on the King of Swords. I don't have any swords, so I'm going to put a trump there. If I put the 20, probably that's safe, and worst case, someone else might overtake it with a 21, but that's 5 points for that king that I've added into my hand. Let's lead another trump. Let's try and bleed the trumps out. I'm missing the 21. Oh, there's the 1 of trumps, which is a 5-pointer. Good point. I probably should have tried a little harder to save that one, because probably Elbrick is going to go over me here. Yes, and so he took that 5-point 1 of trumps. That was not smart on my part. Anyway, he leads coins. I don't have any coins, which means I have to trump. I'll trump with the 15 with the devil, and looking around, everyone else has had to follow suit with coins so far, so those are all points for me. Excellent. Yeah, I'll just keep on. I'll throw the Queen of Clubs on there, the Queen of Batons, and there's the 21 of trumps. So Nesterius is going to take that, and there's a fair few points there because there's 2 queens and a king. So that's 13 points in that trick just on those ones, plus 2 more for the other 2 cards is 15 points he just took off me. I've still got to get to 58 here. Anyway, I'll take that with the highest trump. I could lead the Fool, which is trump 22. So anyone who still has trumps is going to have to follow. All the 5-pointers are out, so this is only going to drag some smallers, but looks like it's dragged the Jack of Cups. That was an extra 2 points up there. Play the 17. I don't know if I'm going to win this last trick, but in this, oh, it looks like I might. Maybe no one has any trumps left. No one had any trumps left, so I won that one. And I have narrowly managed to win this one. Only just, but close enough. Now, this game is designed that basically you score by pushing coins back and forth across the table to each other after the hand. In Switzerland, normally you use the 10-cent piece or the 10 Rappen piece to score. And a regular game is basically worth 10 Rappen. So each of my opponents would have given me 10 Rappen there. If it's a solo game, each of your opponents will pay you 20 Rappen. Conversely, if the declarer loses, doesn't make it to 58, they will pay 10 Rappen to each of their opponents. Or if it's a solo game, 20 to each of their opponents. If the losing side fails to make 30 card points, the price is doubled. And if you don't take any tricks at all, the price is tripled. In the case of a Mazère game, when everyone passed, basically whoever takes the most card points has to pay 10 to each of the others. Now, one little detail that makes this game kind of unique is how you can use the Fool card. The Fool, or in Waliser Deutsch, they actually usually call it the Bettler, which means the beggar. In this game is normally trump 22, like in Central European tarot games. But you can also use it as an excuse, like in French or Italian tarot games, where you can play it, or you can use it to avoid having to follow suit. If the Fool, the Bettler, is the last trump in your hand, normally, because I can't follow suit with swords here, I would have to play a trump, and the last trump I've got is the Fool. But if I don't, it loses its power as trump 22, but I can throw another card on worth points that the defense are going to win, for example. In this trick, my fellow defender, Dr. Blues, was already winning, so I should have actually thrown on the king to save those points. And then I can hold on to it until the very last trick when I have to play it, and it won't win the trick, but I also won't lose it. I'll get to keep those 5 points. So as I said before, this game is also very often in Switzerland played at higher player count, so 6 or 7. If it's 6, it's still 1 versus the other 5, but if it's 7 or 8 players, whoever wins the bidding will call someone else to be their partner. Now here Nesterius has bid tup, everyone else passes, and then Nesterius, before he actually looks at the tup, will have to elect one of the cards and say whoever holds this card is going to be my partner. In a 7 or 8 player game, if everyone passes, whoever has the Fool has to play a tup game. If no one has it, because it's in the tup, whoever holds the 1 has to play a tup game. If no one has it either, because it's also in the tup, then you play Mazère. The usual rule is you can't call the 21 or the Fool or the 1 of trumps to be your partner. Usually people actually call the 20 because that's the highest remaining trump. Nesterius here called trump 18. So whoever holds trump 18 will be his partner. It remains a secret. You work it out very quickly from the gameplay, but you don't actually table talk it. It's meant to sort of stay secret, at least initially. If you want to play on your own, you are allowed to just call a trump that's already in your hand. Some people do that if they have a really strong hand and they want all of the payments for winning. Also, sometimes just through bad luck, you call a trump and it turns out to be in the tup. Then, bad luck, you have to play on your own even if you didn't want to. The price for losing a game is the same as if you're playing at other player accounts. The tapas partner takes 20 rappen from all of the payments, and the declarer gets the rest. The tapas gets the rest. And then that doubles or triples, with the other normal penalties that go on there. So that's basically it. Like, that's more or less the whole game. So as you can see, it's got like the core tarot game engine to it, but none of the extra stuff that a lot of other games do. So you've got, no declarations, no bonuses, not even pagat ultimo, no, complicated bidding system like in Hungarian. The scoring, you just add up the cards singly. You're not like adding them in groups of 3 and then deducting 2 or anything like that. It's just a very straightforward tarot game, but it is still really fun. And the fact that it works at such a big range of player counts is also great. I mean, you've got a social group anywhere between 3 to 8 players can just play it. Really great. Now, this game is available on BoardGameArena.com, thanks to the developer Jimbo Fredberry, who is one of the guys I play cards with online quite a lot and hangs out in our Discord. Like I said before, if you send me an email at learntarotcardgames@gmail.com, I can put you in touch with the Discord and you can catch up with us and play some games online as well. But for the moment, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.